see who do we have. How you doing, Jimmy? Your work, mate? Should have the permission to talk. It's Sunday. Where are we going? Beauty. We got something to trickle in. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you can hear me. Oh, the screen, it should be all good. Give it another minute and we can start cracking. This is very close. Music a bit. Alrighty. I reckon we can probably get going. Let's get cracking. Midweek. Wednesday here in Australia, of course. And giving us some interesting plays at the moment. We can definitely see some indecision. Standards with maybe like the making sort of no, it's gonna move, but great. Yeah, let me have a look. Should be, yeah.
Oh, maybe. Try now. I think I know what happened. My AUX cable wasn't pushed in, so now it should be all good. Now it should be good. Sorry, team. Take two. Wednesday. Way better. That's it. There we go. Now you can hear me fine. All right, let's try again. If you just tune in now, we're just having some audio issues. I didn't plug in the AUX cable properly, but here we go. Welcome to another week. Welcome to another stream here where we are going to talk today about the market and what is giving us in this current indecision. There's a fair bit of up and down, chop. We don't really know what is going to happen. Lots of news, distractions. So I always like, as we know, starting with the Bitcoin dominance. It was only a couple of days ago that we had a look at this chart, but because it is the middle of the week, we can have a look at the weekly candle that's forming, and it's currently obviously only 2 days in because we are in UTC time, whereas in Australia we live in the future. But it's quite clear that it's printing a bearish candle, which could potentially be a great sign of a reversal. Now, we talked about this level being absolutely critical for BTC dominance to break below and close below. Until we have such breaker structure effectively, we will not be confident that this is it for the dominance to melt on the downside, and instead we could potentially see a fake out for another continuation, similar to what happened here in these 3 weeks. Everyone thought we were going to have an alt rally, and we did for a little while, but then obviously Bitcoin put everyone back in their place and went up to get another 10% in dominance. So targets for me still remain somewhere in the mid to high 60s, of course. Anything over 17 will be absolutely insane in terms of dominance, meaning that for every dollar invested in crypto, 70% will be into Bitcoin, which is a lot. Let's have a look how this weekly candle will close in a few days. On the daily, of course, we can see still an attempt to break the structure of this daily range. But if we look at the structure, this is really the high that we're playing with, and this is really the low. So we are trading in between this box, imaginary box, which we can literally just box up. It'll be a little bit easier. And this right here is our range, right? So if I just do range, this is our daily range. So now it's just going to be a matter of seeing the next few daily candles potentially taking out this dominance hammer candle here and potentially coming down lower into the buying range. So this can go either ways, of course. We don't really like to predict what the market can do. We can only react and look at the signs, and the signs at the moment are obviously potentially on the downside for the dominance, which would mean we might see a little bit of an alt rally potentially if this dominance tend to go a little bit lower. We might see the likes of obviously ETH and ETHBTC and all the alts that we like going up a little bit. Sorry, can you, Supreme, I just saw your message. You should be able to hear me because everyone else can. So can you just confirm in the chats that please everyone can hear me? And it's not just, it might just be yeah, perfect, cool. So if someone can please let Supreme know in the chats that he might just need to change his settings into his mic. That would be awesome. Sorry, team. Yes, so let's have a look at ETHBTC. We had this obviously major harmonic played out. Was playing out as we speak, right? This is on the weekly. Whether we bounce from here or we go lower is still to be decided. Obviously, it's a little bit early for us to make any moves, but if you were here last week, we talked about waiting for this chart, ETHBTC, to give us that very big breaker structure with a confirmation. And once we print that confirmation there, we will be then looking at potentially even swapping some BTC for some of the stronger olds and outpace the growth of price action via simply playing the strength game. But we're not quite there yet. Something that obviously we're keeping an eye, at least I'm keeping a close eye on. I think this is a bit of a fake out. So ETH and BTC chart to watch alongside the dominance for me at the moment. But let's have a little look-see at what BTC is doing today. So intraday, of course, we are kind of ranging into once again range, right? High to low down here. This is a lot of liquidity down here. We have taken it out and we have retraced, not quite as low as we were hoping for, but I do think that the move is not complete yet, whatever there may be. And as you can see here, we're starting to now print a liquidity trend. So when these liquidity trends do tend to occur in the market, as we know, these are just traps for retail. So these trends right here, I want to see take it out. I am waiting for a potential entry at this level. Let me just get rid of that entry there because that's confusing. And that is my entry right there. But I do also have an entry to potentially lined up a little bit lower for in case we bounce off a third time of this trend line. So I don't like to trade off bounces. I like to trade off breakouts. So I like to trade obviously when we come lower and we take this liquidity. I do have another point of interest, which I haven't marked up yet because that's a little bit far away. But if we go low to high of this structure, and we take into consideration that this was indeed the last high that we printed for the move that is about to eventuate, then we have another area of interest potentially around here, with obviously the low just below this previous, so the stop loss just below this previous low, and a target of this fair value gap right here at the very minimum. So it's a nice one to fall. 4.5 potentially. We can lock it there and leave that there. But it is a little bit earlier, because obviously we want to see how market reacts. We could send from here for a little while. There's so much indecision currently. We do have this nice high here from the previous New York session and London session still available. Asia didn't really print out a lot, so Asia obviously consolidated for quite some time. Asia session can give you some nice moves, but that was not the case today. We just literally just range in this pretty ugly little range down here, and this would have been a beautiful entry if anyone was alive. This would have been a nice one right here, but obviously I want to see what the market does at a macro level before doing any more scalps. We had some really good scalps the other week, or last week I should say. So for now, I think I'm personally good at scalping, and in this current market I want to see some larger moves. Ideally, potentially coming up here into this fair value gap and 4-hour candle, and then reverse. This could be a nice sell to buy move, but there's also a chance that we might just immediately sell to then move. So too soon to call any moves at the moment, but if I was to look at just now this nice 1-hour candle, I'll make it a little bit bigger. This 1-hour candle still has my attention up here for a potential reversal. It did go mitigated. You can see this wick traded into this wick right here. So it's not the cleanest of setup, but there's a chance that in a 15 minutes or in 15 minutes or so, there's no imbalances. So it'd be an interesting level to play. We do have to obviously keep into consideration New York. New York highs and London highs were still untouched. So that is definitely a nice little area there for market to get to. So I'll mark it up with a little flag right there. So not a lot live. Last 2 days ago we had a live call, and we took it in ETH. Currently this was from Monday I think, or Tuesday on the live. We took the ETH short. I moved the stop loss at 1-to-1, and luckily, because we now traded back into we can probably now delete this. We traded back into what was the entry. We've taken out a whole bunch of liquidity. In higher time frame, you can see this was equal highs, lots of wicks on the upside, meaning there's obviously eagerness from market makers to come and hunt for liquidity. These are all these liquidity hunts this week. So this one right here, it's a liquidity hunt, and this is also a liquidity hunt, which tells me potentially we could come and fill some of this imbalance right here on ETH on the 4-hour, and it will be a nice place, in fact much nicer than BTC. We just looked at BTC. This is up here, so it's quite far, whereas ETH is a little bit closer to that level. This will be the 4-hour candle that I'll be looking at potentially enter a short from here to here. This is my 4-hour, and potentially we could get some sort of entry 1, entry 2. If we were to do this 1, 2, almost 2, we'll probably tighten it up a little bit and make it a 1 to 2. This will be an entry 1, and then I also like to do an entry 2 roughly at the 50%, which would take us into the somewhere there and somewhere there. So this is a nice 1 to 3 point. 3 point something, and the TPs will be in between obviously the fib extension 414, 618, TP1, TP2, TP3 down on the 2618. So that would be a nice nice short potentially on ETH. It'd be interesting to see on the 1-hour if there is any imbalances. There is a fair bit of imbalances here on the 1-hour. This 1-hour candles I think is still gonna get tested. So I do like this area. If you want to mark it up live, you can take a screenshot. I'll just stop scrolling around for a second, and that is probably a short that I'm going to take on ETH. 1 to 2 small risk, probably 0.5% of the account, and then larger risk on entry 2, which gives me a better risk to reward and potentially even better return, obviously. Why don't I go bigger on the 1 to 2? Because this has got, I don't like the risk to reward here, so I don't really like to play off of these levels. Ideally, I like to play off higher Fibonacci levels, which, if I'm sure, this will be around the 7S6, and look at that, perfect on the 7S6, almost perfect. So lots of confluence there on this short. Yep, that is going to be the next ETH setup. Boom, we got one live, eventuating shortly. I think maybe overnight for us in Australia. It's almost 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. So I wouldn't be surprised if this happens in the next, kind of like 6 to 8 hours as we sleep for us Aussies. So for any Aussie on the call, maybe worth putting a little limit order just in case market does tend to go up. This was a sol that I was literally so lucky to catch. I didn't even call it because it was a limit that you'll be up. What? You'll be up here, yeah, because you're in the west, mate. That's right. You guys are behind. We live in the future out here on the east. This was the sol that I caught. I didn't call it because it was a limit, and I didn't actually get to the entry 2 that I wanted to. So if we got there to the entry, which was my entry marked up, I would have called it. But I'm gonna run through the logic of it because I think it's good in these calls to explain what traders look for and what we should be looking for in terms of obviously setups and whatnot. So we had a bias on the daily for sol to be quite retraced already from low to high. We literally came quite far down, right? There's a lot of FUD on the timeline. I don't really trade off news, but there was a lot of obviously news about sol, pump to pump, whatever, all that stuff. But what really caught my attention was the fact that as soon as we wicked into the 76, the daily candle didn't really close bearish. In fact, it literally wicked down and then immediately went up and closed bullish. So obviously there is bullish pressure around this level. And then for the next 2 days, we kind of ranged there. So all I did based on that was down on the 4 hours and looking at the structure, look at what was happening. And you can see my little arrow, left them there on purpose. So lower low, sorry, lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low. So this was the point of interest, and I wanted to see that entry, that fair value gap tapped, which would have been my perfect entry, and I would have called it. But market didn't get down there, and instead what it did, it gave us, or gave me, in this case, a very quick with a strong reaction right there. So when you see these kind of order blocks, and order blocks is a series of candles, 1, 2, 3, obviously big push down. This is called a sell to buy move. So this is a very strong manipulation of price action to come and take out these equal lows, take out liquidity, and then eventually this candle, which was obviously my entry 2, take out all the liquidity, and then the move happens. The ideal entry would have been into this fair value gap, but as you can see, the market doesn't always gives us the perfect entry that we want. So when we have this kind of setups, it's good to mark them up and it's good to get the limits, but it's also good to scale down in really low time frame, right? And see what's happening on. Oh no, I moved it there. Stop and lock it. So this was the reason why I entered, basically. I think I moved it a little bit because I entered just after this candle. So this was the candle for me that did it. It was a 1 minute big liquidity grab, and then the next few candles were trying to get up, and then as soon as we saw market retracing, I basically did a current market entry there. So these kind of snipes, they're really hard to call, obviously, on the, and then we also had a re-entry, which was nice. So these kind of snipes, you have to be on the chart to catch them. Had I set a limit order like I will do tonight for ETH that we just been, I'm not going to be able to micromanage that trade like I did with this Solana entry. This was a morning trade for me. I think it was like 7 or 8. What time was it? Yeah, it was 7 o'clock. So I'm usually up at 5:30. So that was a nice entry. But yeah, for the ETH trade, I might not be able to catch that snipe if it happens. So I'm gonna set 2 limits, 1 and 2. So those were the main fours. Sol looking probably the most bullish out of the 4, in the sense that obviously ETH is already made the move, so I'm not going to try to catch a long here. There's no point. The long was down here, and BTC is kind of also just left the station. That would have been a nice trade, but we didn't catch that entry. Whereas Solana potentially might give us a small re-entry on the lower time frame if you want to try to catch a re-entry in case we do flush in London. So something on the lower time frame for Sol might eventuate. Let's have a little look. Obviously this is consolidation. Now we're starting to break out of the range. We could see this London session. This was the opening of London just a couple of hours ago, or was it 3 hours ago? So we could see some sort of retest potentially of those lows, but it looks like this is going. So if we see something like this, I would probably look at, if you're up of course, which I won't be, but I would probably look at doing something like this with the lows. Sorry, stop losses just below the lows, and just even going back to the previous New York session, that will give you a nice 1, 2, 4 basically. So this could be a scalp for Sol if we do retrace. I don't condone or recommend entering now. This move is already happened, so you want to wait for some sort of retracement and potentially liquidity grab. So yeah, that might be a nice entry for Sol if you are not currently in a trade and you're looking for a scalp in the next kind of like 6 hours or so. I'll probably keep an eye on Sol as opposed to the other 3. In fact, like we just discussed, ETH I'll probably be looking at shorting once we get up there, but we're still a little bit far away. Main 4, that was it for a kind of analysis. Not a whole lot until we get up to higher levels, of course. I do still have my target for Sol. I still think we'll see some sort of bearish pressure once we get just below the 200, and then we'll have to reevaluate. But it is nice to see that on the daily we are printing some higher highs and some higher lows. I don't really consider this a break of structure because it was pretty ugly. This was the last structural low for me in terms of daily, and now we are I think printing a higher low, so we are ready to go up again. Let me know in the chat if you want me to have a look at any particular tickers. But in the meantime, I also just looked at Etsy, which we looked at in terms of stock and called it, and we are running. So this stock is up. What is it? From entry. 37%, 36%. So not bad. Could you have a look at XRP? Of course. Let's have a look at XRP. What's XRP doing? Let's have a look. See. Okay, so nice clean chart, which is good. Daily, we have obviously big liquidity grabs, liquidity hunts. That's what XRP likes to do. We are attempting to print some higher highs. This was the last structural high, and this last structural high was not very convincing, as well as this last structural low not being effectively breaking the structure. So we are in a range for XRP, and I'll highlight the range. So this is the range for me currently in XRP. It is quite a big range, but make it a little bit bigger as well. That's the range that we're kind of playing. We are sitting at the top of the range, but I do see a lot of liquidity here. And like we just saw now, what XRP likes to do, it is kind of moves. Right, and you can see all the wicks on XRP historically, they're always on the downside. It is such a manipulator, of course, asset, because it is very much a smart money asset. It wouldn't hurt having a set limit under this liquidity and potentially somewhere into this candle right here. So there's nothing there for me to go buy press buy right this second. For XRP, I don't really like the structure. You can see the structure is not really clean. If anything, kind of looks like a potential head and shoulder here. Quite ugly, but this could be the neckline. So if I do something like this, left, a little bit ugly, but this could kind of be an ugly right head and shoulder potentially. But yeah, that's why I do like on XRP to have those limit set at extreme kind of levels, because they do tend to get hit one day and you just kind of forget them. I was like, oh, I'm up 300% on XRP and I forgot about the order. So somewhere like this into this daily candle could be a nice play for XRP, I think. There's obviously quite a lot of liquidity below this lows down here, and once again, if we are to consider this the anchor points for our fibs, that daily candle right there, which was the last sell candle before a big explosive buy, falls right in between the 76 and that 86, which is obviously our favorite area to trade from. So does it give us anything better in the 4 hour? Yes, it does. That's a nice candle right there, which confirms the bias, and I do like to play off these candles. So that's something like there. And then obviously we can also have an entry at that fair value gap right there. So that could be an entry, and that takes us, let's have a look, to a nice risk to reward indeed. So even if I was to do this is a 1 to 2 point almost 7, 2.65, and this is a 1 to 3.5. So, and this is just playing the range without even going up above. So this would be a nice setup, I think, for XRP. Just having a quick look, and let's more stock. Oh yeah, very happy to look at stocks. We got RIVN that we talked about, and I'll go through in a second, and we also have Intel, which is currently in range. But yeah, ETH has been printing at 35, 37, 36%. Let's have a look-see at actually no, we've still got TAO, sorry, to look at. TAO USD. TAO's has been going great recently. Had a nice big retrace all the way down here. Obviously this is on the daily, so higher time frame, but I do like TAO a little bit lower than where it's at. For, are you thinking portfolio? Are you thinking, what are you thinking for pad? Portfolio or leverage? Because portfolio, it's Gonski. You know, I would have liked, like, if you were interested in TAO, this was the level to buy 250 and below. TAO for leverage. Okay, so for leverage, kind of similar. We would have to see what BTC does, right? Like, but it is very much extended, and you could argue that this is a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. So you could argue that this is a potential Elliott wave that played out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then the counter to that is that this is potentially also the retracement already happened. So the Elliott wave perspective, there's not a lot to go by. I do not like to buy an asset when it's up there. If it was to come down, say somewhere around the 320 to 290, this could be an entry one right here at the 50 to 61.8. And then there could be another better entry even and this is for leverage and portfolio down here in the 786, and that will be a nice 200 to 236. I don't think we'll get down there yet, but you never know. If BTC does decide to drop, we might get down there. But for leverage, I wouldn't press any buy at the moment until probably down here. If anything, this is bearish on daily, because you can see what we've done is we actually broke structure. So this was the high, higher low, lower high, lower low, lower high again, and now we're kind of like in between. So the range to look out for in terms of potential shorts for TAO is from here. So this is our structure to here. and you can see we're kind of like on the lower range, but I would like to see some sort of close either way, and then there's probably going to be a fake out, and then potentially some sort of re-entry after the fake out. So something like this I would like to see for TAO before entering a short. Obviously not saying it will eventuate, because this thing might just run up, but yeah, this is the structure. So nothing there, unless you're looking for scalps, of course, which is a different story. But once again, not huge, not a lot to see. I don't like this price feed. What is it? Because it's on US dollar. There is an argument there that you can probably see we have breaking out. When these things happen, I don't like to press buy. Instead, I would wait for a sell. So structural high to the structural low. It will take us right where we draw it on the 76 right there. So 427. So something like this could be a relatively low risk play for TAO to the bottom of the range. 1 to 4.5. Potentially for TAO. Hope you answered the question, and also like the fact that there is a relatively large imbalance right here, so that makes it a little bit more appealing too in terms of the short and the market to potentially come up and fill this this order, and yeah, this nice wrong one, this liquidity and buy to sell move. So this candle right here, this wick right here, is definitely of interest to me. Yeah, we broke the uptrend, now we're in a downtrend. That is correct. So yeah, we were doing, obviously we were making go back on the daily. So this was obviously the high, and this was this is where we effectively started breaking structure, making lows, and this was the breaker structure right here, because we obviously printed a lower low. So yep, I like TAO potentially for a short, definitely not a long. Yeah, that 5 value gap pulling the price higher to short, that's correct. Yeah, so that would be my my play. But also not just the fair value gap, I don't enter off fair value gaps necessarily, but if you look at price action, which is the way I like to trade, I look at liquidity grabs, and you can see this was equal highs up here, and this 1 wick up here absolutely destroyed them, grab liquidity, and then the whole move proceeded to go into the direction that the market wanted to go. So I'm sure that if we're going to the 1 hour or even lower time frame, into this 1 hour candle, there will be some sort of big footprint. There it is. Yeah, that was a nice big footprint. So it is at extreme. It's past the 86, so quite extensive there. But this could be an entry too if you wanted to, and we'll mark it up there as an entry too. So it's there for us to go and have a look at it later. Yeah, so something like this. How do you have all the sessions on the charts? That's just an indicator. It's called trading session. It's a trading view indicator. So I think it's trading view. But what I do, I actually just turn off hours, days, weeks. I just use it on the minutes, because I only use this kind of liquidity. I don't think it's paid. No, I mean I do have a premium trading view account, but I don't think it's this. I think this indicator is free. You can look it up. It's literally just called trading session. Remind me later in the chat, and I'll screenshot it. But yeah, like I said, I only use it for minutes. I don't like cluttering my chart on dailies and whatnot. Cool. So that's TAO. Let's have a quick look-see at virtuals. Yes. I am glad for anyone that got into virtuals. We listened to Zeneca in GTG, and that was a great first entry. I printed a fair bit. I think I exited somewhere down here, and then we entered somewhere down here. I exited again, and then this thing just proceeded to just absolutely destroy the market, and it retraced all the way down. And I am pissed at myself because I didn't buy the dip. It's just one of those projects that does make sense. Obviously, if you look at this is so cool. So up to low, actually from the bottom, literally retrace just a little bit below the 86 and massive run up again. So with virtuals, once again, now very extended. So I would like to see some sort of retracement down, potentially coming back, filling these kind of gaps down here, equal lows down here, but definitely this candle, which is a massively important candle in terms of shape and move that follows. So last downside candle, so sell to buy move. So this is definitely an area to look out for virtuals to come back to. So almost certain we will come back here at some stage. Nothing is 100% in trading, but I can tell you this is how the market likes to move, and these candles will get mitigated at some stage. And to be honest, I don't think it's a candle that I would like to buy from. It's just too far up. It's at the 50%, so not ideal for me unless you try to catch some sort of bounce, and you do like from here to just basically just below that wick, and you do some sort of really small move and you catch a bounce, which I'm not a fan of. I'd rather have a bigger retracement for a buy, but you could potentially look at a sell. Once again, similar to TAO, so massive, even bigger because this is on a daily. Equal highs up here, taken out by this daily buy to sell move. There's a bit of a fair value gap left behind, not a lot, but there's a little bit there. So if we do come back up there in virtuals, I'd be inclined to short this somewhere. Let's have a little look on lower time frame. If we mark up everything, is there anything of interest there? No, but you can see these wicks, they give away so much. So this is all liquidity grabs. So the market is ready to go down, and obviously we have liquidity grab, and then we'll come back up. So quite manipulated, but yeah, I would like to potentially come back into this week right here. 4 hour, we're now into the 4 hour. Let's see, 8 hour might be a nicer candle. It is mitigated though. No, we'll be clear. But look, I'm gonna say this is a 4 hour area that I'd like to see retested. And market has definitely slowed down here. You can see we've gone from obviously high, this is on the 4 hour, high to now making lower lows, and now we are ranging. So potentially we could see a fake out and then a succession onto the downside. So probably something from here to here and move it into that area. Or into that candle that we just highlighted. That's almost a 1 to 3. You can even tighten it up a little bit and do a 1 to 3 there. So on a daily, this could be a virtual setup that I like. I like this because it comes back into this area. I am shorting from a high. Yep, that's probably my my setup that I like to see on virtual. And then once, and if we come back lower, of course, I will be long in this big time. And whiff. Let's have a look at whiff. Duck whiff hat. Are they on the sphere yet? So I'm just joking. If I wanted to accumulate spot on virtual, where would you like to do that? So if you go on CoinGecko, you'll be able to see where you can buy spot on everything, but you can basically just buy virtuals on anything now these days. It's on quite a few platforms, MEXC, but definitely also on Uniswap. I think on Base you can do that. So fairly sure Zeneca will be a good one to ask too. He was knee deep into virtuals. I like this. Obviously massive price discount down there. This candle tested, destroyed, and now we kind of obviously trading once again into a breaker structure situation. So high, and then low. This time this was a structural low, so we have made a lower low officially. It'd be interesting to see if we do some sort of excuse me, if we do some sort of rejection from this level, continue lower, break down, and then come and test this level down here and then go up again. So this could be a nice long setup once we get down here. there's nothing there at the moment. If anything, once again, I'll be inclined to potentially short up here. So all the market is kind of telling me we might see, we've seen quite a few pairs now, so we might see some sort of push back up, come back down, and then retrace, which is perfectly in line with what we said Bitcoin dominance might do, which is come back down and then potentially go back up. So the opposite of that. Everything just lines up. That's why I don't trade news. You don't need the news. All you need to do is being able to read the chart and put the pieces of the puzzle together. So yeah, WIF is potentially setting up for a short, but for spot, this is probably not a bad area down here if you don't have any. So we are on the daily here. This order block around the 64, 65 cents down to the 52. This could be a nice little risk to reward in terms of spot. If we do come back at obviously somewhere up here on potentially into these imbalances into the threes. So you enter at 50 cents and you exit at 35 or $3.50, so that's a nice risk to reward right there, right? So here entry to up here, that's a 6x, 7x, almost, yeah, 7x, depending on where you enter, but not bad. Not bad, not bad. But for now, yes, that's for spot, of course. But for leverage, I wouldn't want to do. Yeah, pretty good. I'm not into meme coin. I've dabbled into meme coins, and this will be a beautiful candle too. And I hope you can see it now. If you're on these lives, you know that we trade this kind of setup. So this is a candle that has got my attention. It has already been mitigated by this week right here. But the next best candle is this one. Obviously, this is major. Everyone's looking here, but this candle right here. This could be a beautiful short if we go and push up there for WIF. This could be a nice short. In fact, I'm gonna mark it right there. Let me get my handy magnet there and there. And this is a 4 hour, so still larger time frame. And potentially there is these equal highs up here, which I don't necessarily love, so we might have to go a little bit higher there just in case. But something like this, woof, that's a nice short. Go back onto the daily, 1 to 4, 4.25. Yep, lots of shorts opportunities, and this candle is actually even better. Look at this 1 hour. Can you see it, team? So we have equal highs right here. This is all liquidity that we've created intraday, or sorry, intra week, or this would have been from the 20. Where is it? Let me grab it from 26th of May until, so for 3-4 days we created liquidity, and then we come grab it, and then big move down. So this is even better. I like this even better. But there, 1 hour entry, better risk to reward, still tight stop loss, and this becomes a 126 if the moves takes us back down there. So I do like this WIF setup. Yep, why not? So quite a few setups for shorts. So we got TAO once we get up there. If you do want to long, like I said, I don't trade breakouts. I know that some of you do in the chats and you're successful at it, but you can see this is probably what's going to happen. We are going to go up that way. Virtual, I'd rather wait for the larger move with closer than others. XRP, I want to wait for price to tell me what is happening on the daily consolidation, and we finish off with some stocks. So we have looked at Etsy 35% up. On Tuesday, I said that we were going to wait for Intel to potentially come into this lower kind of level, but it might not get there. It might not give us even the 76. We'll see. We're already trading today in pre-market. It's at 2042, so it's a little bit lower than yesterday. But look, I still have my limit order on, I use Webull for stocks, and I've got it down here at the 786 or 1883. So you're long on XRP, yep, yep. So we had a long, yeah, I'd rather enter lower, personally, and just wait. And RIVN, last stock, we have broken out officially. If we do have a retest of this candle right here, that's green go, and I'll call it for sure into the stock chart. You can see that's the entry right there that I have. I don't know why it was a little bit higher. Sorry, I'm pedantic on entries. There. That's the entry, which is 1 to 5. That's it. We've covered some stocks. We've done the major fours. We've done some others. And we now know that until BTC.D or the dominance kind of decides what he wants to do, which I think is going to come back for a little bit, and then potentially grab some liquidity, of course, and energy to go back up, we are likely going to see some sort of temporary relief for alts. You can see ETH is pushing up. In fact, look, I'll probably confidently say I'm going to remove that first entry. I don't like it. I think there's more upside. If I'm going to short, I'd rather short from a high. So say this is the only ETH short that I'd be prepared to take at this stage. No worries, Lars. Pleasure, mate. Pleasure, pleasure. And yeah, if there's no other questions, let me know, or feel free to type in the chat. Absolute pleasure, mate. Pat, all good. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks for taking time, mate. Hopefully that conference room was nice and quiet. Thanks for tuning in from work. Much appreciated. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Yes, I'll post this in the chat as well. So anyone that kind of tuned in, not live and watching the recording, and if you do watch the recording, just make sure that you do leave a comment down below in the comment section on YouTube. Much appreciated. But they'll also see the setups there, so I'll call them up there. Other than that, thanks guys and girls, and I'll see you next week. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll catch you in Discord. Ciao.